Anybody else like the sound of impact sprinklers in the morning? Or am I the only one? So doing some early morning watering of the garden. Corn's looking good. Pumpkins are coming along. Yes, the corn was knee-high by the 4th of July. We got two different varieties, you can probably tell. This is supposed to be an earlier variety, but not impressed so far. Here's the tomatoes and some beans. And we have squash, zucchini down there. Trying some beets this year. Hey, welcome back to the channel. I Know Enough to Be Dangerous Farm. My name is Rob. And so to continue the over 50 episodes that I'm creating, today we're going to go over some small stuff. You know, being over 50 plus, you've done a lot of things, and you've done a lot of things, some things longer than others, some things you've done for almost 50 years, some things you've done just started this week. So on a Christmas tree farm, there's always something going on, and we do more than just grow Christmas trees. If you watch my videos, you know that. But one of the things I still like doing, 50 plus, is a garden. One of the first things that I had success at is taking apple seeds and growing apples from seed in the attic of my 200-year-old farmhouse that we grew up in. And it did great, and then I moved them into the heat, and I got grow lights. My mother helped me get the right lamp and bulb and stuff, and then I grew them inside, and they were this big in a year. And I didn't know what I was doing. And then I just, you know, the summer came and I wanted to do something else, so I planted them outside, and they're still there today, 50 years later. Not all of them. I think there's 3 left. But, you know, there were from the seed of most fruit trees are grafted, so I just started them from seed. Again, I didn't know any better at the time, but there's apples with bad root zones growing in outside of Cooperstown, New York. Anyways, so different variations of gardening I've done. So this is probably the biggest garden I've ever done, and it's about I don't know, 80 by 80 square with deer fence. And this is the things I've used. These are some of the things I've learned over the years. You got to protect your plants, hence the deer fence. And then I thought I was doing great with the deer fence, but then the rabbits ate through the deer fence, so I had to put metal on the bottom for the rabbits and the woodchucks. And I never had very much luck with sweet corn, but that was because of, you know, animal pressure, basically deer. So now we got we have the sweet corn, we got that dialed in. You know, now we got tomatoes. We had a great crop of tomatoes, but we didn't tie them up right, so hence the cattle panels. And that's what one of the things I'm going to do today is going to start tying these back. You know, the little individual cages, one that's expensive. I know it's a one-time investment, but it's kind of a pain in the butt. It's easier just to put a row down through here, and then we have beans the same way. I'm not going to tie the beans up yet. They're just not big enough. But the tomatoes, last year I got to them tying them up too late, and they got too set in their ways and going where they weren't supposed to, so I damaged a lot of the plants. So this year I'm going to tie them up a little bit better. Another thing we learned is give the cucumbers and the squash and zucchinis a lot more room to go. We do pumpkins. And last year, what I learned is I made the little squares. I wanted square pumpkins for some reason. I made the squares too big. This is one of my squares I made last year, just scrap lumber, and I made them too big. This is like 12 by 12 to get to get a square pumpkin, you need to start them smaller. So I'm gonna put them in half that size, and other things I'm gonna prune back some, or pinch back some of the blossoms. So on my bigger plants, you know, I could produce some bigger, larger jack-o'-lantern size. And you know, that's some of the things we, you know, I tried to grow broccoli last year. Didn't happen, so I didn't even try this year. So we just went with the staples, what we eat and what sells good at the farm stand. So like I said, this video I'm just going to go over some farm duties that I still like doing. One is getting up early in the morning. Who knew? You know what I mean? But when you go to bed early, you know, you got to get up early. So but you know, if I stay in bed now, I get processing of stuff I want to do and how to do it and this, that, and the other thing. And, you know, we're in the midst of that pole barn build. But, you know, this old dog just needs a break from lifting heavy stuff and in the heat. So we're going to do a little stuff of gardening here. And basically the job we're going to do this right now is tie these tomatoes up. And I'm just going to probably just weave. Last year I tried one string the whole way, and it just, in the middle, it just sags and they just go the way they want to. So I'm going to weave in and out in individual plant and into the cattle panel. So we got a section here and a section down there, and I don't know what kind of tomatoes there are. They're red, that's all I know, but I think there's like the normal size and then the cherry or the grape size tomatoes. So thanks for stopping in, and that's what we're doing today. And we're going to go jump into one of the small tree fields to touch those up. I'll give you a couple pointers there. We'll stop by the greenhouse, and who knows, maybe there's something to break and we'll have to fix something. Another thing I've learned is irrigation. So we have two zones. This just runs off a garden hose from the house, so that's why there's two zones. I already ran this zone for a half an hour. I'll run that zone down there for a half an hour, but I love hearing that, but probably because I grew up on a tree farm. There is a garden hose in here, but basically it's keeping the tarp down until these plants are big enough, which they are now. I did do some hand watering over in the tables there, but now the impacts, they'll reach the tables and everything's fine. And those are sunflowers down there. They're just, we don't do anything with them. It's just cool to grow, but they do take a lot of nutrients and, you know, good stuff out of your soil. So put those somewhere. Probably should have them down there, but that down there by the fence line gets a lot of shade, so I wasn't impressed with the performance of the sunflowers last year. So right there is pretty bony dirt, so I wasn't going to plant anything else there anyways, but just hopefully I don't get high enough to shade that corner of the sweet corn. But back to work. I get sidetracked easy. So this is just the nylon, or I don't know what kind of string it is, but it's the string that we use to tie up Christmas trees in the baler, and we just seem to have a lot of it. So all I'm doing is I'm going to the cattle panel there. Well, here's the string. And I'm going around each individual plant, tying it back here, coming around each individual plant. I think I'm too high, so I'm going to go a little bit lower. I'll probably do it up higher too once they get a little bit bigger. Trying to stay on top of this. So here's one plant and here's another one, and I'll go underneath. They're just starting to flower. Come back, do it again and pull. You might have to pull some slack. I don't want individual pieces, that just takes too long for me, so I just have to be patient, which I'm not. just put a little tension on them. As you can see, it's already pulling back. Maybe I'll do half and half here. I wish I just kind of grew them. This looks like a different tomato than this one. It really doesn't matter to me, tell you the truth, but see how this one's very bushy. Go back to this, and then we'll just draw it up. Just giving it a little support. Same thing, draw it up. Oop, too much. I think I'm going to tie this off here. And this nylon string will last all season. So they're nice tied up, and then we'll split this in half. That was about 6 feet. We'll do the next 6 feet. We'll do the same thing. And that's it. And I'll go do those down there. And then these beans probably this weekend, another 5 days. And another thing we do around the garden is we put a row of marigolds, which the marigolds never grow this well. We get the seeds, we harvest the seeds from last year's marigolds, so that's why we can get so many marigolds. But yeah, they never germinate this well. So that's all marigolds all the way around. So I know they should be thinned out, but yeah, we're gonna see what happens. On to the field. Okay, I'm back. Staying along the themes of the video, another thing I like doing is going out into our fields, and especially the younger fields, and just see the progression and see, you know, it's the best way. Like I've talked about before, in the greenhouses, the best way to keep track of your crop is hand watering. It takes most of the time, but you're engaged and you're looking pretty much about every one of those plants. When we have, you know, 23,000 plugs in the greenhouse, it takes a little bit, but you notice the signs and symptoms of problems. So anyways, there's a couple different schools of thought on when to start trimming small Christmas trees, and my school of thought is when they need trimming, trim them. The problem with small trees is they don't all mature or grow, or they're not cookie cutters, as we used to call them back at the tree farm and where I grew up. Shout out to that tree farm. So they're not cookie cutters, so that means they're not all the same, not made on a machine, so they all have different growth rates, genetics, blah blah blah, things like that. So this is the field that we did the demo of the different mowers, and I told you I'd be back in here, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm back in here. So let's go over a couple things, and I'll trim some plants. There's probably 2,000 trees in this field. I won't show you all 2,000 trees because probably half of them I won't even touch. The other half might, or another, I don't know, half of a half will need a snip here, snip there, or a bad spot, or whatever. Right now I'm basically just the ones that are going really crazy and have double leaders is what I'm looking for right now, and any sort of pest. This is the field that we planted 4 years ago, and over a weekend's time, the deer came in and ate all 2,000 trees right down to a stem. and it was, yeah, I just wanted to grab a gun and just sit in a tree and, yeah, but I didn't. So what I did is I started experimenting and for those who watch the channel, you know I love to experiment. I've been experimenting for 50 years with different things, different techniques, trying to breed different things plant-wise. So I just started with, oh, this, do a little research on the YouTube. Oh, this will work for your deer. This will work. Oh, guaranteed this, that, and the other thing. And you know what? Maybe it does work in that area. Maybe it does work in that area for a period of time. But for my specific problem, none of over-the-counter, I guess, remedies or whatever, witchcraft or, balloons and gun or, sound, audio deterrence, sound deterrence, chemicals, blah, blah, blah. One thing that did work kind of okay is a certain kind of fungicide, but it just doesn't last. And my problem is not this time of year, but kind of February-ish, depending on the winter, when they have nothing else to eat. The snow melts down and all you see is this little green thing popping through the snow, and then you get what you call grazing. It's not, they're just trying to survive. I don't knock them for that, and yeah, send me the comments, they were there first, whatever. I'm just trying to make a living here, okay? I'm not destroying the planet. I am not destroying the deer population. I'm not doing any of that, okay? We're just trying to coexist. I will accept maybe 10% damage on my field of deer, okay? I'm not going to accept 100%. It's just not, I'm not accepting it. So let's get off of that. Anyways, so that fungicide worked okay. It worked good. It got me through that winter. But what I saw is a little browsing on the corner where the deer came out. So the following year, I did some more research, and I found this. It's basically what it is sheep's fat. But I won't say the name brand. I won't say the name brand because it's like wicked expensive. So, but I did, talking to other tree farmers, going to meetings and stuff like that, found that there is a place, and I'll share that if you want it in the comments, that sells tubs of sheep's fat. But it's a lot. It's more than half cheaper. It's way cheap, whatever that means. But the problem with it is you have to get it to a form where you can apply it to your trees, which means you're basically rendering fat in. Well, what I do is I spray in October, which I'm going to move that back to September because this year I did get some. Not browsing damage, but the bucks rubbing, and I need to eliminate that. So I got in the field a little bit too late, and I'll show you a couple that the bucks did rub. So I'm going to do it in September and probably around the holidays, and I'll play the weather. So what you need to do, and through my garage sailing, I found one of those. It's one of those burners that they make deep fried turkey in, and because I was using like a hibachi grill and would only warm up enough, and I have a paint sprayer and I have to upgrade that because it's a cordless paint sprayer. It works great, but it's not big enough, and one, it's too small. I can get down and back half a row, so I'm doing 2 rows at a time, coming back to the cauldron of warmed up fat and filling it back up and then going down and up. So I'm gonna probably break down and buy an airless 110 sprayer that can pull out of a 1 or 2 gallon can, and I don't think I can do more than that at a time because it'll start coagulating in the can when it's cooling down and I can't get it through the sprayer. But anyway, I think I'm going to invest in that. But that's the problem with the stuff I'm buying, is you have to warm it up to make it liquid again to spray it. I warm it up and I put a little Dawn dish soap in it, and I have some horticultural spray, so I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone there. But once I'm done, you know, get a pair of pants that your painter pants or something that you're not going to want to wear or put in the wash or something, because you are going to smell like a meat plant or something, because it's got to stink, and that's what it's supposed to do. But the overspray gets on your legs and stuff. There's really no way around it. So, or have a Tyvek suit or some rain pants or something, but wear something like that. I'll do that in the winter. I'll show a whole video on how to do that. But that's what we've discovered that is pretty much foolproof for my area. We have a heavy deer pressure here. We go through hard winters here. If it works here, it should work anywhere. But anyways, so back to each plant needs little something different. So this one actually doesn't even have a top leader. I'm thinking what happened to this one is the dreaded fat bird. It had a leader like this. A fat bird jumps on the top. I'm gonna make some perches, I think, this winter, and get some perches out here. And the theory is that you have things in your field for birds to perch on. They won't perch on, you know, your growth, but the lush new growth on there, especially the top leader, and it bends it over, snaps it off. They do that a lot on the Norway spruce, but I can see it's happened here too. So this one, I want to give it a shape. It's got a nice new growth, and I want to do it before it sets bud. But I do see another. What you want to do is check the bottom. On the basil pruning, talking about the bottom, you know, do what you want. I'll probably go through this and do that, but not this year. And it's to each his own. I've seen 100-year-old tree farms and they've never even done it, never even heard about it. But I've seen the newer farms that have the machines and stuff. So I guess if you have the machines, why not do it? But if you got to go down there by hand and do, this is just one of our fields. There's 2,000. I can't imagine bending down 2,000 times to. But whatever you want to do. I don't do it. I'm going to try it in a section like I always do, and go from there. But this tree, to me, it needs a haircut. One, I don't want it setting bud out here, and then I got a misshapen tree because it's going buds off of here. So I'll cut it here. I'm not going to worry about the leader right now. It looks like it's trying to do it, and I'll just let it happen. I am going to check the bottom for, you know, 2 leaders. Looks good. But that would be a good basil pruning too, that just make sure it doesn't happen. So what I'm going to do with this is, you know, I'm old school, so I have the shears out today. I've had these for not 50 years, but at least 20. The shininess is fluid film, big believer. And these I've had for 20 years too. These are Baco, and they're the real ones. The only thing I've ever had to do is these little cushion things. I had to buy different ones. And these are Felco 7s. And what's neat about these is this bottom piece rotates. So when you're cutting, it's turning with your fingers. Which, this was a gift. I thought it was ridiculous, but you use these once, you're not going to want to go back to the other ones. And I'll use this for any dual leaders, because this stuff is small enough to cut with this. I have the machines, you know, the nasty looking weed eater thingamajigs with the knives flying around. I got hedge trimmers, but I find this is the best way when trees are this size. And then I have this for the leaders and the bottom. And I can go through, if I wasn't running my mouth, I could go through this field in probably an hour and a half. Not just because, you know, not every one of them needs it, just some of them need it. So what I'll do is a mental shape on this. I don't do the machete things. One, I'm not good enough. I just, man, I would have to wear my I think I would have to wear my chainsaw chaps if I was doing this all day with a sharp blade. I'd be afraid to cut too much, so I'd be cutting out there, and I'm not doing the tree any service. But I don't have 10,000 trees to do either. So if I do 2,000 to 3,000 a year, that's a lot. So anyways, so I take a mental, in my AI head there of a triangle, and what we'll do is that, and then just nip the sides. Yes, and I do this a lot. I learned this on the tree farm. I learned it wrong, but I do a lot of cutting like this, and some people have told me it's backwards. You know what? You do you, and I'll do me, what works. And I'll try to get the weeds away from it. And that's how I'll leave this tree. We'll worry about this. This should start filling in. And we'll worry about that leader. We'll watch that bud there. So on to the next one. So right next door here is one of the ones we interplanted this year. Now, this guy did not look good for the longest time. See this right here? So make sure you give him a chance, boys and girls, because this thing was all orange, and now look at it. So this thing's only been in the ground 2 months. It was I think it was a P2 that we got from this newer supplier. I really want to do this, but I don't think I'm going to. I'm just gonna, and sometimes be careful of taking this off, but this is dead. There's no green whatsoever in there, and then it cleans up the tree. And it's a nice, you look at your tree, then you don't get a double leader here. But, most of these, I won't get anything, but I'll go through. So that's a nice one. That's what you want to see first year. Back to this older row, you really can't even tell what's going on here until you get this ragweed and stuff. And this one looked like heck too. This did not look good. It was all like this. Now look at it. But again, I'll do the weed out of there. I'll do that with the weeds too. And then so this one to me is turning into a shrub. So I really need to go around it before it sets bud. And then leave this guy. It's not pretty right now. It's not pretty like that one. But next year it will be. So this is a good example of, it's got 2 different leaders. Now, just double check doesn't have 2 different trunks. It's good there. And some guys would leave that, but it's just going to continue to do that. You're going to have 2 leaders here, and just like that, at an angle. The one that's more in the center of the tree. So the color's great on these things. So look at this monster. It's never been trimmed. It's got stuff way out there. This one needs a hard trim. Careful not to get the leader, because he's on a Honda. Remember that commercial? I do. Bottom's fine. We don't want to take this whole thing out because that goes halfway down, but you do need to designate at an angle. And this thing is still actively growing. I wanted to get in here and touch up some weed control, but it is actively growing, as I can see. But you know, I just hope a bird doesn't sit on this and then snap it off. And this is typical buck damage right here. See, he scraped this all down to get his scrape line, and then he kills the tree from there up. But the bottom of the tree just went absolutely crazy this year. So what I'll do is, hopefully this isn't too big for my hand pruners, but again, there we go. And the other thing we have in this field, and this is why you keep, I didn't have it so much this year, but when they were smaller, this is why you keep your grass down. See this little guy? Snails. And they're little vampires. And I don't know what he's doing up here, because he went through the whole tree to get up here where there's absolutely no life. So, and he's still actively sucking on that thing. You little vampire. But I don't know what he was getting out of that part of the tree. So now we just need to bring this closer, and then one of these will take over. I'll probably leave 2 of these this year, but I'm going to cut it way back. And I'll leave these 2 little guys. Probably this one's going to take over, but see where I've cut, then they'll throw 3 buds there. They'll have a terminal bud and 2 side buds, and then we'll start filling this right out. I wish they were all like this guy. Here's another field inspection. This is why it's good. There's a Japanese beetle right there. I don't believe in the Japanese beetle traps, especially in your fields, because I think they just attract more Japanese beetles, tell you the truth. And I won't spray this or anything. You're gonna get some damage. Just you gotta watch it. So this is what I'm looking at, and I just want to, taper it down. Some people do the bottoms, keep them tight, and that's more for I don't know, maintenance reasons maybe. But I just give it a nice angle. And so what I'll do is hold them backwards, I've been told, and then I'll just go down, look down like this. That one I only tipped off the bud. These just the ends. This one I'm going to take a little bit more. The old tree cam here. And then this one, I want to designate this one as the leader. And then I'm just, whoa, don't get the leader. Like that. See, some of them I took 4 inches off, some I just nipped it in the bud. And here I can see some remnants. Those are ants, dead ants, but I'm guaranteeing you there was aphids there. That's why the ants are there. They were farming the aphids. All right, so the rest of this row is a lot smaller. I'll stop there, but there is some up here. And that's the problem with fields like this. You're jumping around, and hopefully, you don't miss anything. But you can see that this was a freshly planted field. You can see the plow mark right there. It's what you want to see. These are going crazy. They're kind of in proportion, but you need to snip these side ones. The first whorl, I guess they call it. And that's it. Now see, if you were using shears or gas-powered trimmers or the machete, you would have just cut them all about the same. So this one I can go in and trim this one a little bit more here, and a little bit more hands-on stuff. So the next and last stop today will be just checking on the greenhouses. So this is the older one. This is where, you know, we made the cutting area. I'm checking for if the mister went on already. Then, you know, on the back side, I'll check for trays. Yeah, those back trays are dry. See, I'm getting a little bit of this, but what happened is it was getting some water from the area, from the cutting area. So they got too wet, so I had to move them down. And, you know, without me checking often, I never would have found that. So here are the mums. I cut them back once. You know, they're a little leggy for me, so I'm going to cut them back again. I think I'm going to use the shears on these. I wish I had some of those hand-powered thingamajiggers, but my deal is not, I'll get going so fast and I don't want to cut my drip tube. But they're looking good. Again, they were getting a little bit too wet, hence the yellow. So I had to dial back on the frequency and the length of timing on the drip tube. But also another mistake I made is I got two different size containers on the same system. That's a huge no-no. So don't do that. But 95% of them are that 1 gallon size, so we're good there. I just got to watch these smaller square ones. Here's the planting area. It doesn't get any action this time of year. Another thing I got to check is water level in the tank. We're a little less than half, so I'll fill that back up. Everything looks good. I'll open this every once in a while, just make sure it's doing what it's doing. Here's the ICU, trying to bring them back. Here's some black walnut we propagated. Let's go to the other house. So this house, it looks wet, so they went on. I got these coming on every other day, and it's going to get hot out, so I'll need to check this. Unfortunately, I'm going out of town again. So it looks like it did what it's supposed to do. It came on at 6 a.m. They look nice. Another thing I do is I dumb it right down for myself. I'll put a little cup right in the area getting water. See? Watered. I want to see about half an inch of water in there. So this is what they're doing. Looking good. Everybody's looking really good. Everybody's really happy. Another thing I check in this house again is the water level. This water looks a lot cleaner than the other one because that other tank I used water out of the creek, and it just, you know, got dirty, and I just can't clean it, and I don't want to use harsh chemicals on it. So it'll get cleaner the more we use it. And I have a bucket here because I had a little bit of a leak. Seems to be gone. I just replaced the O-ring in this. Actually, this guy right here, I should just throw this away because I'll try to use it again. I'll check the temperature. It got up to 90 yesterday. It was really hot yesterday. I'll reset it. Again, check the controller. It's going on at 6. Odd days. Make sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. Looks good. Looks like I'll have to fill both these tanks, but looking pretty good. So, and another thing I've learned being over 50 is, you smell that? It smells like roses. So that's another thing I've learned being over 50 is to just slow it down a little bit. One, your body's going to tell you to slow it down a little bit, but just take time to smell the roses. And what I mean by that is, you know, we've been busting our hump doing this pole barn build, and you know, I was excited about it going into it. Doing it is another thing, but I'm still excited about getting past the finish line with it, having it all finished, and I'm going to make it look cool. It's going to have a cool overhang, and it's going to be, you know, rough cut on the outside, and I'll be able to tell people when we're selling Christmas trees, yeah, we built that one out of everything in the woods. You know, it cost us, we did buy the tin, but it was used tin, so we're gonna, the whole roof will be tin. The front tin will be leftovers from uh, our house. So, you know, that didn't cost us anything. It did, but you know, for this particular project, it didn't cost us anything. We paid like $100 for the rest of the tin. It's not used, so it doesn't have any holes in it, but it was a leftover storage unit. And what it really is siding on metal storage units, but you can still use it for roofing. It's probably thicker than the roofing you're going to get at any roofing place. So that's what we'll do on the top. We don't see it because it's, you know, there's a cliff. The neighbor doesn't see it. There's a huge drop off back here, so nobody sees it. So it doesn't matter what color it is. It's actually like skin color, like cream. I don't know, like a tan. I think there's a couple different colors there. But anyways, what I'm getting to is just slow down and appreciate what you have. I do that a lot more being over 50. I appreciate doing this, and I also take a break from it because you're going to get hurt, okay? Or you're going to get heat exhaustion or something. But I'm trying to balance, you know, taking a little break from this and, you know, getting it done, because when a project's not finished, it really kind of wears on me. But and then that's when I usually get hurt or overdo it. But you need to take time to appreciate what you have. Like I appreciate all the equipment I have. It's taken me 40 plus years to get what I have, and through the years I've rotated equipment to what my needs were. Well, like when I was a contractor, I had skid steers and dump trucks, and you know, when I had a garden center, I had some stuff like that. Now that I'm a weekend warrior, I have a lot older stuff, but stuff that makes my life easier. And I still like wrenching on things. What I'll do in getting closer to winter, I'll pick up an old tractor, something out of the dingweeds, and I'll put it in the barn, and I'll redo it. And sometimes I take it all apart and paint it and everything. Sometime, but most of the time, I'll just get it to where it is reliable, and I'll play with it a little bit, get it to where it's reliable. Probably a little rattle can magic. I'm not a big fan of old rusty stuff, especially on tractors. I know the chipper is you know, a different deal. That's just the patina, yeah. But I'm not a car or truck guy. I'm a tractor guy. So my tractors are always going to look good. And when I get an old tractor, I like to make it look good. But you know, sometimes people don't like that. They think you're trying to hide something if it's got fresh paint on it. But I save all the receipts. I usually convert the electrical system. Most of the ones I pick up are 6 volt, so I convert them to 12, so it's easier, starts better, more reliable, all that stuff. But that's what I like to do. So, you know, you're over 50, find what you like to do and do it. You know, and if you like to do something, don't overdo it. Because I, you know, like to plant stuff and propagate and all that, and I was a landscaper for like 20 years, and you know, that some of that stuff's involved, and I had a garden center for a few of those years, and it was work. It was just what I love turned into work. So you got to find that sweet spot, figure out what you like to do. Probably that is the biggest problem, and then do it, but don't overdo it in every sense of the word. Don't overdo it physically, mentally, time wise. You know, I'm not telling everybody to start a Christmas tree farm, but I'm telling you, I started a Christmas tree farm with my lovely wife after 50 years old, and our business model is not the same as everybody else's, because I still like to do physical work, like the trimming we just did. That's not really physical, but it's going to take me, I did half that field. It took me an hour. Well, not an hour with filming. So I'll do I think there's 3 rows left. I'll do it tomorrow morning early, just get it done. It's nice and cool. Get it done before the deer flies come out, and it's done. And what our business, part of our business model is we sell crafts and we have the cool barns and stuff. So we started selling Christmas tree 3 years ago. We bought a place with huge overgrown spruce, Colorados and Norways. So our first year, we took the best Colorados out of our field and put them up on a couple A-frames. We sold out in a weekend. So I've sold Christmas trees before when I was a kid and make Christmas wreath and stuff like that. And you know, my wife enjoyed it, and she's never done anything like that before. So we started that. So the following year we sold some more of our blue spruce, believe it or not. I can't imagine putting a blue spruce up for a Christmas tree because it's just very hard needles and the retention's not that good, but we were cutting them that morning and selling them that day. So, you know, the retention is pretty good when you do it like that. But the following year, I found a tree farm that would sell us a small wholesale order, and we sold some of our trees and brought in some fir trees, that, you know, traditional Christmas trees. So we would build up a clientele until our trees were big enough, and we planted the second year, and that's the year that the deer totally just went through. It looked like a brush hog. It was just real gut punch. But that was the time where I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to do it different. I'm going to figure this out and do it different. So we have couple different varieties, supposedly deer resistant. That's not true. They'll eat every one of my trees except for the Colorados. So we have some Colorados growing. We have some large needle spruce that have that blue cast. The reason people buy that Colorado blue spruce is because it's blue. Okay, it's not because of needle retention. It's not because it's soft needles, because it doesn't have it. It's just because it's blue. So that's our business model. And we right now we're clearing some of our bigger trees and then planting more Christmas trees, clearing bigger trees, planting Christmas trees. And we sell the bigger trees to bigger tree farms that have tree spades that can dig these trees. We dug the ones we could. I had a tree spade when we bought the place, and it just, you know, the trees are just too big for two 50-year-olds B&B and tying them up. And two, the equipment we had is just, they come in with tractor trailers and stuff like that. So anyways, that's our business model, and we should be able to sell, well, we are selling our own trees, but our fir trees should be selling for us, or we should be selling our fir trees in probably 3 years, and then we'll kind of wean off buying Christmas trees and reselling them from other tree farms, but we'll still buy some from other tree farms just because we can't grow all the varieties we want to sell here. So it's just not our eggs in one basket. You know, we do the farm stand, we don't overdo that, but that's fun. We do the garden, we don't overdo that, but that's fun. We fix equipment, we don't overdo that because, you know, there's no deadlines here. I don't do this as a living anymore. So if something's if that chipper's broken, if that chipper didn't chip the other day, we would have just stacked the brush, and then I would have put it out back in a pile until I fixed the chipper. So that's the difference between doing this for a living and relying on equipment to get a job done, blah, blah, blah. But anyways, I just wanted to share a few things that over 50, I still like enjoying, but it's not for everyone. But the concept is smell the roses, find what you love to do it, and find that happy medium of doing it, loving it, and overdoing it, making it feel like a job. So hopefully I've entertained you. You've started looking at, you know, life a little bit differently, even for younger people. As you're growing, you know, to appreciate what you have and what it takes to get there. So as always, thanks for stopping by, and take care.